Hey y'all, Unbreakable here. So if you've been watching the feed, you'll see just a few minutes ago that we released the trailer for the upcoming movie Love. We've also got an initiative that's coming up. It's a worldwide initiative, 16 Days of Activism. And so because of that, we're going to work on a project together. So I need y'all's help. So in the description of this live, you can go back and look at it afterwards. The question that I pose to you is if you of today could say anything to yourself of before when you first got into that relationship with that toxic person, that narcissistic person, that abusive person, what would the you of today tell the you of before? You know, in my journey, what I can say is that I wouldn't tell myself to run. Because, see, in my journey, there was a lot that I had to learn. It's unfortunate, but it's true in my lifetime that had I not gone through exactly what I had gone through, I would have kept repeating the exact same cycle over and over and over again. It was a hard lesson that I had to learn. And it's not one necessarily that I'd want to go back through again, but who I am today is light years from where I was before. So what would I tell the me of before, of when I first got into that relationship? I think I'd tell myself to find my worth, to find my voice, to find my value, to love me more than I loved anyone else, to stop being a people pleaser, that I deserve to be treated with loyalty and respect and honesty. There's a lot I think I would have told me, aside from the old just run. See, who I am today, I love. I love who I am today. But who I was then, I didn't love. I didn't love myself then. I couldn't even stand the sight of myself. You know, Facebook has those memories that pop up, right? And I recognize first and foremost that there are very few pictures of me from the past because I was disgusted with how I looked. I was disgusted with who I was. I wasn't a bad person. I was still a good person, just like I am now. But I didn't understand that I was placing my entire value and my entire worth in the hands of someone who didn't deserve it. I placed my entire identity in the hands of someone who didn't deserve it. I changed who I was to fit into a box, a mold, a small picture of who someone else wanted me to be. I didn't know who I was then. And because my self-esteem and my value was so low, it was very easy for that particular person to turn me into whatever they wanted. Quiet, meek, people-pleasing. Just take it. This is all you deserve. You don't deserve anything more than this. See, back then I accepted breadcrumbs, just crumbs of attention and affection, thinking that that was enough, that I didn't deserve more than that. See, I'm a pretty tough woman, very strong, always have been. But I didn't recognize the depth of that strength until I got out. And I thought I had to stifle that. Because if I was too strong, they wouldn't love me. If I was too strong, I was going against them. If I was too strong, it intimidated them, it scared them. And so I better be quieter and meeker and smaller. Because as long as I did that, then they'd love me. Changing everything about myself so that they would love me. The picture of me that they wanted me to meet up, that they wanted me to constantly be striving for. The personality, the way that I talk, the way that I move, the way that I dress, what I wore, whether I wore makeup, the kind of makeup that I wore, where I went, how I drove, how I kept my house, how I cooked. I had to follow all the rules. Because if I didn't, then they wouldn't love me. And they'd leave me. They'd abandon me. Because they told me all the time that they would. See, as difficult and terrible as all of that sounds, I know for me, had I not gone through those 15 years with this particular person, I wouldn't be who I am today. I'd still be lost. I'd still feel like I was worthless, useless, unlovable. That I didn't deserve peace and serenity and tranquility. I didn't deserve any of that because I was everything that they told me I was. A bother, a burden, disgusting, worthless. In my life, it took me hitting the complete bottom before I figured out that I could climb out of that. That I didn't have to just exist in this lifetime. I didn't have to just stay there and take it. That I deserve everything that my heart desires. So what would I tell myself of back then? What would you tell yourself of who you were back then? What would the you of today tell the you of back then? What would you say? Would you be mad? Would you treat the you of back then with just visceral hatred and anger? Would you show compassion to the you of back then? What would you say to who you were back then? As I said, once we go off live, you're going to see that there is a link to the content submission form out on the website. Write your letter, submit it there. You can use your name, you can have it posted anonymously, whatever you're comfortable with. But let's show some compassion and grace to who we were back then, because we all deserve it. Go be unbreakable.